Another day, another video. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're watching Lost. This is the 14th episode of their 5th season. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it so far. If you'd like to watch today's full episode, it is available for free in the link in the description below. Just click on it, put the password in and enjoy. Speaking about links in the description, we are running our most likely disliked characters of season 5. It takes 30 seconds and your results and mine will be shown in the final episode of the season. Cannot wait to see you guys choose. Now, last episode was very interesting. We had our first kind of flashback episode in a long while, and it was a Miles one, which was really good, to be honest. I've never really thought about having one, but it was great to see. And you know, good information was actually released as well. We learned that as a little kid, his parents were not around, only his mother. His mum told him that his dad died at a young age and never really wanted him. And then if you fast forward to the present, 77 on the island, it turns out he's revealed the information to her that, you know, Dr. Chang is actually his father. Yes, really interesting. So he's in a timeline where he's got a father figure knocking around where he's not really, I don't know, I feel like he wants to get involved with him and speak to him, but then obviously because he's had all his life without a dad there, you know, he's kind of hesitant. And you know, it's quite interesting to see the progression of Hurley and his friendship, to be honest. I'm actually really enjoying it. Now, you know, after handing over Ben basically towards Richard, Kate and obviously saw he was coming back through the fence, and they called in the radio. They were saying, look mate, Miles, we need you to erase tape 4 because obviously we don't want anybody finding out what's gone on. As Miles is doing that, Horace has come in. He's asked him to do a task for him. He's got distracted. He's left the tape and he's bounced. You know, most of the episode he's carried out doing these tasks, but at the end of the episode, obviously the big reveal happened because, yes, you know, the guy that's been watching him, I'm not too sure what his name is, but it's a bit sketchy here and there, to be honest. He's not been really trusting of Kate and Jack in certain situations. You could tell that he's been kind of watching them. He was the one that was questioning Kate when she first arrived. What was her name? Who brought her here? Do you know what I mean? The name's not on the manifest. That guy, he's gone over to Sawyer. He's told him, look, mate, I actually know who took Ben. So he's like, who do you think it is? And he said, got the tape out. He's like, I know it was you, boss. I'm going to give you some time to actually justify yourself. You know, we've known each other for 3 years. I reckon, you know, we can sit down before I tell Horace. So he's gone inside Sawyer's house. As soon as his back's turned, clocked, mate. The guy's been knocked out. So that's very interesting. Don't know what they're going to do with that one. And then, obviously, you know, Miles, he's kind of reflecting, he's standing, looking in the window of obviously Dr. Chang's house, seeing him playing with Miles himself, which is pretty weird to be fair, but obviously it's Miles at a 3-month-old baby. Before he got a phone call, he's come out, new people are coming to the island, scientists. You know, he's called Miles, he said, look, I need your help to welcome him here. They've gone down the docks, they've stood there, and who's returned? Yes, Daniel has come back to the island. Obviously knowing who Miles is, both of them recognising each other and giving like the thumbs up. So very interesting stuff going on. Can't wait to find out what happens in today's episode. If you do enjoy it, please smash a like, really helps out. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, let's jump into today's episode.
He's coding! Gunshot wound, he's crashing!
Base 7, now!
Is he gonna be okay?
You're gonna have to wait here, man.
He's gonna be okay.
He did get proper ping though, didn't he? He did. He managed to get up as well and fight him.
How old is your son? Has his father's hair.
I'm sorry. Do I know you?
I'm Eloise Hawking, and I believe it's my son's fault that Desmond has been shot. My son is Daniel Faraday.
30 years earlier. We love the good jumps.
Hey, can I get a hand with this?
Long time no see.
Once you left for Ann Arbor, I figured you'd gotten rich inventing the DVD or something.
I need you to take me to Jack's right now, okay? How did you get back to the island?
Where have you been?
I was just at Dharma headquarters in Ann Arbor. I was doing some research.
What's going on?
Don't look at me. I just carried his luggage.
Jack, how?
As a matter of fact, Dan, it was your mother.
And how did she convince you, Jack? Tell you it was your destiny?
Yeah, that's exactly what she said.
She was wrong.
What's wrong, Mom?
It was beautiful, Daniel. If one has a special gift, then it must be nurtured. Your gift, Daniel, is your mind. Mind that is meant for science. There's no more time for distractions.
I want to keep playing the piano. I can make time.
If only you could.
Faraday! Come on. Wait up! Jack, I'll be right back. What did you mean your mother was wrong?
What do you mean Faraday's back?
He came in on the sub, he woke me up, he started talking nonsense, and then he took off to the Oregon.
Phil, one of my security guys, off a videotape of me and Kate taking the kid out to the hostels. Phil, Jack. Phil.
There's no way about getting out of that without killing him. He'll just go and spill, won't he, otherwise?
Be back in 10 minutes.
Do you reckon that he's going to cross himself?
You're gonna do nothing. If you drill even 1 centimeter further, you risk releasing that energy. Watch yourself!
Sorry, sir. It won't happen again.
Did you hear that?
Time travel. How stupid does that guy think we are?
We just came in on the sub with the SWAN team. We actually met 3 years ago, and Daniel Faraday. That man is on a stretcher as a consequence of the electromagnetic activity that your drilling unleashed down here. The same thing is going to happen at the site for the SWAN station, only the energy there is about 30,000 times more powerful. It's going to be catastrophic.
What could possibly qualify you to make that kind of prediction?
I'm from the future.
See, that's tough, that, isn't it, for him, really? Because, like, you know, I'm not being funny, but if anybody, I don't care who it is, comes to me and tells me that from the future, I'm going to not believe them. And that is just being totally honest. It could be a friend that I've had for 10 years, could be one that I've had for life, you know what I mean? Could be someone new that I've just met. I ain't believing any of you that you're from the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only way that I would believe you is if you say to me, look, that's going to blow up, and then we wait, and then it blows up, and then I'd be like, okay, that's a bit sus, you know what I mean? Tell me something else. Or, do you know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh, this football team's going to win this match by this score at this time. Has that happened in this show before, actually? I feel like it has, the Desmond one. You know what I mean? Like, that is when you start believing. Someone tells you specific things, and then you wait and watch, and it turns out. Like, if somebody just comes and says, oh, do this, because that's going to happen, I'm just going to be like, no. And if he stays on the island and they all die, it's not, I don't blame him. I know that Daniel's actually telling the truth from what we know. There was a big catastrophic thing that happened. But if someone come up to you, you wouldn't really believe it, would you?
You heard me talking about time travel. Now you've had your fun. Good for you.
Please, Dr. Chang, look at these equations. Some of them won't be discovered for another 20 years. Miles is your son. A Chinese man named Miles, the same name as your baby, shows up with me from the future.
Is this true?
No.
Are you out of your mind? What are you doing?
I'm just making sure that your father does what he's supposed to do. Hi, Mom. I want you to meet Teresa.
Dan's told me so much about
Pleased to meet you. I thought we could celebrate your accomplishment with lunch. I was hoping it would be just the two of us.
I understand. It's okay, Dan, really.
You're so rude to Teresa.
Yeah, that's it, innit? She was well rude.
You should be focusing your energies on your work. The women in your life will only be terribly hurt. It means that your work will always come first, that's all.
Only because that's what you've always pushed me to do. You pushed and you pushed. Got a new £1.5 million research grant.
From whom?
Some industrialist. Charles Whitmore. Why did you come?
To congratulate you. Good luck, Daniel.
Honestly, I'd be fuming if I had a mum like her. You know what I mean? Like, she's just such a stress. Oh, is that his journal that he's still using now? That's kind of nice, to be fair. That is kind of nice.
You in the closet, I thought he worked for you. Can you convince him that it was all like a misunderstanding?
I punched the man in the damn face, Hugo.
I'm not getting on that sub if there's a chance that my wife is still on this island.
That's all we did to get back here, and now we're just gonna run off again? It's kind of wishy-washy.
It's 2 votes for square one.
Hey, James. What I came to do is of critical importance to everyone in this room. Does anyone know where I can find the hostiles? Because one of them is my mother, and she is the only person on this island who can get us back to where we belong.
Do you know what I mean? I know that she's already said this information, she's disclosed it, and she said to these how they actually get there in terms of obviously the spots keep changing, and obviously that pendulum that was swinging, and it can mark the locations. You got to be there at a certain time, and do you know what I mean? But like, I never really considered that she's potentially been on the island. You know, it's full of mysteries, isn't it? And like you say, if you look at Charles as well, he is quite involved in people's backstories. You know, he's giving him grants there. He was obviously recruiting like Naomi and Miles as well. You know, he's been in there. He's been on the island himself. You know, he's got beef with Ben. You know what I mean? Like, he is a mystery himself. I know that he's been in it quite a bit, but I don't feel like we know loads of him as well, if that makes sense. Like, I know who he is and why he's kind of here, but like, I still feel like we could have a whole episode on Charles Widmore. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like right now the mystery is him and Ben. Like, these are the two that we're kind of like working around. Both of them seem dead serious about the island. But it's like, at the end of it, how are we going to conclude it? That's what I'm trying to think all the time between Ben and him. Like, how is it going to be concluded? Really, it's fascinating.
Dan? Dan, why are you so upset? You have a visitor, Dan.
Did Caroline tell you I have a condition that affects my memory? Just
Don't be embarrassed.
A bit of a mess. I meant to thank you before I left Oxford.
I came to offer you a new opportunity. Did I say something to upset you?
It's this plane crash.
What have I told you? The plane was a fake.
How would you know that?
Because I put it there.
Why would you tell me that?
Because come tomorrow you won't remember I did. I want to send you to the island. It will further your research. And more importantly, it will heal you, Daniel.
I was going to say, like, has the island made him better? Because he seems a bit slower here than he does normally.
Why are you doing all this for me?
Because you're a man of tremendous gifts, and it would be a shame to see them go to waste.
You sound like my mother.
That's because we're old friends.
I wonder if it's his dad. Imagine that.
I just need to talk to him.
Thought you said we're supposed to lay low. Whatever happened, happened.
Just tell me where they are, and I'll go
I'm
there
not
myself.
telling you anything.
Whether we go on the sub or we head back into the jungle, we don't belong here.
I belonged here just fine till you came back, Doc.
You and Sawyer took Ben out to them. Can you get us back out there? You made me promise to never ask what happened to Aaron, but I know that reason isn't here.
Whatever her reason is, helping H.G. Wells here talk to his mommy ain't got nothing to do with it.
The code for the fence is 141717. It's over here for us anyway.
Hey, Moss, can you drive us?
I'm Team Sawyer. Fair play.
When you realize you've made a huge mistake, we'll be back at the beach, right where we started.
These people are not going to be happy to see us. Might be a good idea to bring some guns.
Not allowed to have chocolate before dinner.
I won't tell.
My name's Charlotte. What's yours?
I'm Daniel. Hopefully really soon, Dr. Chang is gonna ask a bunch of people to get on the submarine. You and your mommy, you're gonna have to leave. I tried to avoid telling you this. I didn't think I could change things, but maybe I can.
See, the only thing that confuses me, they told us many times that you can't change what's already happened, but then I get confused because I feel like they do try and change it sometimes.
Aren't you one of the physicists off the sub?
There was an accident at the Orchid Station. Dr. Chang asked us to help.
Hey, he's
so...
got a
Have you got a gun?
Nobody...
I think we can make it to the Jeep.
How many bullets are in them clips? Oh, just shoot one of them tanks. Sound the alarm. The interesting thing is that, you know, Daniel, he is trying to change stuff. He's just talking to Charlotte there. He was saying get on the sub, but technically she must have got on the sub, because I know that we've been told on the island before they have had a catastrophic event. They've said that, and I believe that obviously it's probably what he's saying. It would make sense, you know what I mean, going with today's episode. And it seems like she must have then either got on the sub or Daniel was successful, which is fine, because that's just the way it is. If that's the way it went down, that's the way it went down. The only thing that confuses me a little bit is, like, many times Daniel was saying earlier on in the season that you can't really change anything that's happened in the past before. It has to be what it has to be. And it was kind of like Jack's insinuation as well. Do you know, when Ben was shot, he was saying, look, mate, you know, I wasn't intended back in the day in 77. I wasn't here, you know, to go in and save his life. The way it was meant to be is just the way it played out. And then, you know, we kind of had a couple of things. He was talking about Back to the Future, wasn't he, earlier, seeing if we didn't go back and do this, were we technically here? And then Miles was saying, like, you know, technically this is our president. But it's their past, and basically, even though we're in these situations, it would have been somebody else, you know what I mean? So we've had this conversation for the first time, but somebody else has already done it. Do you know what I mean? So when Ben got taken to the others, it obviously was Sawyer and Kate in this scenario, but I believe what he was trying to insinuate is that's what would have always happened anyway in that timeline. It would have just been somebody else. So the fact is now that he's trying to change a few things, go and speak to his mother, see if he can, you know, stop something from happening here and there. That's interesting, because what I believed all season is you couldn't change it, but now it seems like you maybe could.
When did you get here?
Oh, I just arrived. I would have called you, but...
I would have forgot anyway.
I hear you have been offered a job. I came here, Daniel, to tell you that it is very important that you say yes to Mr. Widmore. Did he tell you that it could make you better? Why, then you could go on with your work.
You really want me to go? Will it make you proud of me?
Yes, Daniel. It will.
Then I'll do it.
All right, I'm gonna take a look at that. Yeah, good. It's just a graze. You said whatever happened, happened.
Gotta understand, Jack. This is our present. When we met, did I have a scar on my neck? Because I hadn't been shot yet. We can't be so naive as to think nothing can happen to us.
I'm trying to follow his timeline and what he says very carefully.
You think he knows what he's doing?
Sure hope so.
You can say I told you so.
Maybe after we get to the beach.
You still got my back.
You still got mine?
Why is she asking that question? Is that because, like, he went and done that with Kate and she was testing it? I don't even know, man. Like,
What the hell's going on? Just got shot by a physicist, and the new recruits are helping him. What was that?
I'd just say he's one of them.
Get down on the ground now.
Oh, that was so slow from Sawyer, that. You would either say, look, we caught him trying to do something as well, or you would have been prepared and had a gun ready.
You ready to tell me why she was wrong? Why we don't belong here?
In about 4 hours, the Dharma folks are gonna drill into the ground and accidentally tap into a massive pocket of energy. In order to contain it, they're gonna have to cement the entire area in, like Chernobyl. I believe you called it the hatch. And because your plane crashed, a freighter will be sent to this island, a freighter I was on and Charlotte was on and so forth. This entire chain of events, it's gonna start happening this afternoon. Finally realized I'd been spending so much time focused on the constants, I forgot about the variables. I think I can negate that energy. Then that hatch will never be built. The plane will land just like it's supposed to.
Just how exactly do you plan on destroying this energy?
I'm gonna detonate a hydrogen bomb.
Well, see, this is where I don't get it. This is where I don't get it. I was trying to follow there. Again, he said you can't change the past. You can't change what's already happened. That's basically what he's saying. But what you can do is have variables. And what I took from that is basically, what he's trying to say is those people are always going to be drilling into that ground. He can't stop them. What happened. So that drilling, it is going to take place. But what he was trying to insinuate is, originally, when they first drilled in it the first time, they went down, they activated all this energy. What he's trying to say is, I'm a variable. So those guys can drill, but if I can do something prior to the drilling starting and to stop that sort of radiation or whatever it was, you know, the energy from being there, then the chain of events that has just happened from that drill would not be obviously what it is. We wouldn't have crash landed, the freighter wouldn't have come. So basically what he's trying to say is the action of the drilling is still going to take place. You can't change it. It's happened. But the result of the drilling, you know, we are the variables, and instead of hitting the energy source, hopefully we can deflect it and take it away. So that's what he was trying to say. But my question to that is, that means you're technically changing the past. You are changing it, you know. If 10 days ago I woke up and banged my head against the wall, and then obviously like it made me a bit dizzy and I stumbled and fell down the stairs, you know what I mean? I broke my arm, for example. Like, you know, maybe something happened. Like if I went back and changed the time and I didn't bang my head against the wall, then I wouldn't have fell down the stairs and I wouldn't have broke my arm. But I still would have got out of bed and I still would have made it down the steps. You know what I mean? But technically I changed my whole actions of how it would be. The next 3-4 weeks after with a broken arm will be totally different to the one where I got up and didn't bump my head. Like, so I've changed the future. And that's what I don't understand. Like, he's just saying there that basically, you know, maybe he can change it and do something. But then again, if he's setting off that hydrogen bomb, that never happened in the past, so then is he not changing the future? That's what I don't get. Do you know what I mean? Like, I understand what he's trying to say, the action of the drilling and him deterring it, but then it's just change. You know, if the bomb never went off the first time in 77, but it's going to go off now, does that not mean that he's changing what's about to happen? You know, like, I don't really know. We'll watch the show and see how it concludes, and then hopefully it makes sense, but that's why it confused me a bit. I feel like sometimes it's a bit conflicting, or I just don't understand it properly.
That's the man who sent Desmond to Los Angeles to find you.
Your husband has become a casualty in a conflict bigger than him, that's bigger than any of us.
Your husband's in the recovery room and he's asking for you.
The recovery room, is he?
He's doing fine.
I promised you, Penny, I'd never leave you again.
Your daughter's in there. Why don't you go in and say hello?
Unfortunately, Eloise, my relationship with Penelope is one of the things I had to sacrifice.
I had to send my son back to the island, knowing full well that...
That's my son too, Eloise.
So she's the one that they had the kid with then. Is that Penelope's mum? We don't even know.
He's talking about erasing everything that's ever happened to us, Jack. It's insane.
We just appeared off a plane in midair and ended up in 1977. Getting kind of used to insane.
Let him go.
He's just going to run straight in there. You better hope that Eloise is there. Her name was name dropped actually when Richard got the baby, when he got Ben, I think.
Where is Eloise?
Do we know each other?
I need you to take me to Eloise.
I already told you she's not here. So let's just take it easy.
Where's the bomb, Richard?
Reckon Eloise? Yeah. And,
Why did you do that?
You got a gun on you.
He wasn't gonna shoot me, Eloise.
You knew this was gonna happen.
Who are you?
I'm your son.
Oh, he better not actually be dead. You know what I mean? There's no point in bringing him back, is it, for like this one episode? He's come in, you know, a bit of chaos has erupted. He's said all of this stuff. Maybe he could change it. You know, surprised Richard didn't remember him as well, actually, because he did actually come in and he was the one that gave Richard the information about, you know, about burying the bomb, didn't he? He had the gun pulled on him at that one point, and then obviously he was saying, look, you know what I mean? Like, it's got a crack in it. You need to cement it up and you need to bury it. And he's like, how do you know that's going to work? And he's like, look, mate, because we're from 30 years in the future and pretty much we've been on the island and it's still here and so are you. And, you know, it means a bomb's not gone off and it's successful. So, you know what I mean? At the time, it made a lot of sense. Now, looking at it like this, it's interesting. Seems like Widmore is his dad. You know what I mean? And then, obviously, Eloise and that woman, that's his mum, but she's been on the island before. And, like, thinking about it, when Ben was dropped off maybe a couple of episodes ago, you know, one of Richard's men was saying, is this what we should do? Do you know what I mean? Is this what the island wants? Is this what Jacob wants? Is this what Eloise would want? I'm sure they said that. And then he was like, look, they're not here. Do you know what I mean? I'm making the decisions. I don't need to answer to them or something. I'm pretty sure he said something like that. And I was thinking, who's that name? Do you know what I mean? Like, who are we talking about? And then his mum, look. So I guess it's really interesting because it seems like his mum and his dad at some point in different times, or maybe it was the same time, I don't know, have been kind of leaders on this island. And, you know, now both of them are back in civilization, yet none of them have returned, even though Daniel has multiple times and Ben has. You know what I mean? You would have thought that if they loved the island so much, then they would have been able to come back, especially if they knew that Jack and Kate and all that was going to be on a plane and that plane would take them back to the island. You know what I mean? I would have thought that they maybe wanted to be in it themselves, but no. And, you know, we didn't get anything more about the people, you know, last episode who actually abducted Miles and who's actually on the island themselves, the one that knocked out Frank. I actually want to see more of that because I feel like maybe they've got some association with Ben, because they said as well, you know, they didn't want him to be on Widmore's side and they're going to be on the winning one. But which one's that? Who did they work for? That's going to wrap up today's episode. Thanks so much for checking out the channel today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you're not yet voting for your most likely to dislike characters of the season, please do. It takes 30 seconds and your results will mine be shown in the final episode of the season. And we're quickly getting there as well. Honestly, we really, really are. As I was just mentioning a minute ago, you know, I'd like to see a bit more of this story about the people who just crash landed onto the island. I thought Caesar might have played a bigger part into it, but nope, he was shot obviously at close range by Ben. Not really seen much of Locke and Ben as well, actually, have we, since returning? You know, we did get that odd episode, you know, when Ben actually was saved, or kind of like, I don't know, the island okayed him to stay there, if that makes sense, and didn't actually kill him. He was obviously tested for his sins, or whatever you want to call it, but then obviously I had a conversation with Alex who was saying that he needs to follow Locke. Now, again, you know what I mean? Locke's been chosen. It seems like it from an early stage, you know, it's not really surprising, but what we do with it could be surprising. You know, we've seen him meet Richard earlier on in the season when he was at the plane, didn't they? And he said that they wouldn't remember the conversation. But he did say that next time he sees him to give him something. But I feel like they've met each other after that, when Locke was saying, look, you need to tell me how to get off the island. But I don't think he actually gave him anything at that point. Maybe he's still got it in his pocket and he gives it in when he sees him again. You know, it's quite interesting this season, to be honest, to follow. It's a bit of a head scramble here and there, and, you know, trying to gauge the you know, what you can and can't do. I feel like has been a bit of a task, if I'm being honest. You know, I feel like some situations you can change the future. Well, you can change stuff that's happened in the past by obviously, like, you know, being involved in certain things. You know, they're involved in the Dharma project, he wasn't there before, you know what I mean, and their actions could lead to different things. And also, like Daniel was saying here, you know, he could actually set off the hydrogen bomb, which would set off like a different chain of events. Basically, he was saying that as well. You know, maybe he could deter the radiation or the power away when the guys do drill in, so it doesn't actually cause a catastrophic effect that we know it's actually happened before. And basically, obviously, it leads to the events of creating the hatch, you know what I mean, cementing around it, you know, the magnetic pulse, you know, makes sense. Mr. Echo went down there, his necklace was pulling towards the wall, wasn't it? Have we had Saeed and Jack as well crawl underneath it? And he was saying that, you know, they've not really seen anything like that, apart from, I feel like Saeed said about Chernobyl as well, actually, when he was down there, to hold the nuclear radiation. But then, if it is nuclear radiation and it is something that strong, it actually has been destroyed, hasn't it? Which means all of these have kind of been hit by it, which then would mean that technically in that present they would have all died. Well, they should have, you know what I mean, they all should have been dead. But then now we're in 77 and they're back alive again, and it just makes us think, are they all dead or are they not? I think I've said this before in the show before. I feel like maybe when they crashed on the island, they all actually did die. But then I don't know how that would actually work. But I've had that suspicion a few times, just because, like, when Naomi dropped in, they were saying you was dead, you know what I mean? We've had this, you was found, and then obviously turns out that it was fate, and then I was kind of like re-questioning my thing of them all being dead. But it's just one of them. Sometimes it drips into the back of my mind and I'm thinking, you know what, like, how's that happening? Do you know what I mean? If the radiation did go off, then how are they all here? But then we jump back in the timelines and then they could be here because it's 77. It is interesting and confusing. And like I said, mate, you know, it's mad how much Widmore actually is involved. And like, I wonder if, you know, what is it, Desmond's wife is technically Daniel's sister as well. I don't know. That would be a good little twist. But also, it looks like Daniel maybe had died. But then, could he have died? Well, yeah, he could die, couldn't he, actually? He could actually die. I feel like, you know, basically, it's one of them things, you know, what happens when something happens and they're getting you ready for it. Basically, they name drop it in. So like he said earlier to Jack when he was at the fence that technically this is our present and we can all actually die. I never actually questioned that, to be honest. I thought that they could actually die. And Daniel could get shot here and he does die. But then his mum in 77 could still grow up and have him, and then he's back alive. But then when we get to the timeline where he technically should be dead, then I don't know really how that would work. You know what I mean? It's a little bit confusing. Like, he can die here. Like, Miles can die, because it doesn't really matter because baby Miles is over there. So technically, you know what I mean? Like, he's dead, but Widmore and his, you know, his mum can still technically have a baby, which would then bring him back into the Earth, which then could cause possible different, you know, path of his life, if you think about it, because he's come here now and knowing what she knows, she might change it and dictate it and raise him a different way. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting, but then again, it would change the future, and that's why it confuses me. That's what it does. So let's see how the season unfolds. It's been really good so far. I like it when I have to use my brain. It keeps the episodes engaging. It keeps me guessing. It keeps me entertained and wanting more. And that's all I can ask, really. So I can't wait for the next one. Thanks for checking out today's. If you did enjoy it, please smash a like. Really helps out. Subscribe if you do. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.